feel like I'm in a U-boat, or not a U-boat. What are those things that are storming the beaches of Normandy?
Yeah, what are those called? It's named after a guy from New Orleans.
Not a
If
ducky,
you've
is
not
it?
been, the World War II Museum, which is in New Orleans, for that reason, is excellent. And they're called,
I keep thinking they're
can't
duckies,
remember
but
the
those
name
are
of the guy.
it's definitely not.
They're like modified fishing boats because in New Orleans, where the water level is really low,
Mm-hmm.
they need a special kind of boat that you can be in and not hit the bottom.
Flat bottom boat.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm
We know what we're
not a
talking
boat architect, Brad. I don't know.
about. What are you, Paul, if you're not a boat architect? I don't know what you're doing on this
Hey.
podcast.
I'm not even using my headphones are on my head in there. I'm a little distracted this morning.
This is what I work with every day.
Why is your voice so far? Oh, I see.
So, Paul, you are going to be amused on many levels of this.
Okay.
So, as you might recall from the podcast episode yesterday, I was struggling with the book a little bit, getting formatting right and some other things. One of these specific issues, which, as all good Microsoft products related, there is going to need to be a day one patch of the book, the Kindle edition. The print version is
Nice.
good, but the Kindle version, mostly because I had to submit it 4 days ago.
Oh,
And there's been some small changes and whatever. But one of them was formatting, and I was really struggling here. And the ePub file did not have centered images in the ebook.
listen, this is like a flashback Vietnam thing for me.
Well,
I-
here's the best part about this. So I was going back and forth with the LeanPub people, and they're trying to help me out. And they're recommending changes and all this stuff. And then we realized what the problem was. You know what the problem was, Paul?
Lean Pub?
Edge.
Oh, we're using Edge as the PDF reader or whatever, the EPUB reader.
So he sends me a screenshot, and he's on a Mac. He's like, they're perfectly centered here. I don't know what your problem is. He goes, what are you using? I'm like, I'm using Edge. And he goes, ha. And he goes, download any EPUB reader.
Yeah, right.
And see if it works. And you know what? I did. And they're all centered as expected.
So you should just have a note somewhere that says, hey, by the way, if you're reading this in Microsoft Edge, A, you're a tool, and B, use something else.
Any other reader will work.
It's a funny thing. I mean, I don't have much cause to read unprotected EPUB files, but for whatever it's worth, I do use Edge for PDF files for sure.
I do as well.
I guess for EPUB files, I wouldn't change it, but jeez. Classic.
But I mean that is, it's just like, this is how Microsoft found to put the dagger in and just twist it a little, because they
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, that book's coming out tomorrow. The print version, I'm going to get my proofs on, I think, Friday. So for the physical version. So that should be, as long as the proofs look pretty, should be available early next week.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
It
What are we going to do next, Brad? I mean, obviously it takes 6 months off.
Yeah, well, see, the one thing I haven't done is brought my Xbox upstairs, because if it's upstairs, then I play it, and I haven't done that because if I had time to play the Xbox, I should have been working on the book.
Are you suggesting that if I moved my Xbox more than 1.5 feet away from my body, I would play it less?
I'm not a doctor, but I'm thinking. I'm thinking.
I'm not
maybe.
saying it's kind of a chicken egg thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And of course, somebody on our team is messaging me.
Yep. Yeah. My reply to this, I think from now on, will always be, yes, we still record a podcast every day at 11.
All I respond to that is just podcast, because it's the same thing we do every day at 11 o'clock. Actually, my mother tried to throw a wrench in there too. She's like, hey, do you mind if I stop by? And I'm like, yeah, I do, because I'm going to be doing a podcast. I mean, could have had my mother on the show today.
But you work at home, Brad. You don't work, therefore.
I'm just always free. Always free. Speaking of always free, Paul, I actually don't know what this is, but
Okay.
you just wrote about it. It's Project Fi because I was trying to, I was like every day at about 10:57, and not that I'm always on the dot, but it's right around there, give or take 1 or 2 minutes. I would say, Paul, are you ready? And he didn't respond. So I just
Yeah.
called him because why not? And,
Right. No,
and
that's fine. I
yeah,
don't have a problem with that.
what's
I
going on?
was surprised by it, but I was a little involved. Yeah. So Project Fi is the carrier I've been using full time since last
Mm-hmm.
September-ish. I've actually been using Project Fi since whatever year the Nexus 6P and 5X came out. So probably 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I go back once, yeah, for 3 years. And for the first 2 years, it was kind of a secondary phone line. And then when I went to Europe, I used it there because the price is so transparent and awesome. There's no additional cost for going to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You use the same data. It's $10 a gigabyte. You only pay for what you use. If you go over 10, the gigabyte point, you pay for the little part of the data that you use.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful service. I love it. It's only gotten better, by the way, over those 3 years. They keep adding things. There's a price cap now. So once you hit the 6 gigabyte mark in a month, you stop paying for data. In October, when we had multiple international trips, and my daughter and my wife were
Mm-hmm.
feeding off of my connection, we used almost 16 gigabytes of data, and I paid for $60.
Wow.
It was incredible. Love this thing. The only problem is it doesn't work with anything other than the newest Pixel phones, those Nexus phones I mentioned, and one or two other phones. There's a couple of Moto phones in there. And the reason is Project Fi supports one of its many unique features is the ability to switch between networks. Now, here in the U.S., and might be wrong, but I believe it's T-Mobile, Sprint, and U.S. Cellular.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you're out in the world with your phone, you're connected to these cell phone towers. It's actively looking for the best signal. But unlike a Verizon phone or a T-Mobile phone or whatever you might have, it can look for multiple types of towers. It doesn't just look for, one company's towers. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
It works like that in Europe as well. So you might notice it switch between, Orange and whatever you might have in France or whatever it might be. I don't know exactly what networks it uses everywhere. That feature requires special hardware in the phone. You have to have some kind of I don't know what it is exactly, but it's a chipset that allows you to do this thing. It's a hardware thing. It's not a software thing. Well, it's a software and a hardware thing, but it requires the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't work on iPhones, which is why I didn't switch to it years earlier. It doesn't work with other Android phones like Samsung phones or OnePlus phones or whatever it might be. So in recent weeks, we've discovered that they're going to rebrand this thing as Google Fi. This is a lot like what Microsoft is doing, where Windows Azure becomes Microsoft Azure. They're using the parent brand for everything. It also kind of suggests that this is less of an experiment. The name Project Fi kind of suggests like, hey, we're trying to see if we can do something here. Who knows if it will take off. And by bringing it into Google Fi now, it seems like maybe this is going to be more of a permanent thing, which I hope it is because I love it. But the big deal is they're allowing non-Fi certified phones, meaning phones that don't have that special networking hardware inside. That means you can use them with iPhones, you can use them with Samsung phones, you can use them with OnePlus phones. Now, what you don't get is that seamless network switching feature. So I don't know how that works exactly. I mean, if I'm here and T-Mobile happens to be best and it connects to T-Mobile, does that mean I stay on T-Mobile?
Yeah.
It might. I actually don't know. I guess as you go in and out of network coverage, which can happen, it might detect the next thing and stick with that. I actually don't know. But now I'm going to find out because literally I just wrote this thing, I don't know, Monday maybe, Tuesday at the latest. That was, maybe the best phone you have is the phone you already have, that kind of thing. And, discussing how people are upgrading the phones a lot less frequently a lot less frequently than they used to. And I was going to upgrade to the Pixel 3, but because of problems with those phones, I decided not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't use these other phones as my primary phone, and but now I can. So I'm gonna look into that. I'm not saying I'm gonna
Very, very curious
get an
about this
iPhone. Yeah,
because it works with an iPhone,
right.
which you
The
didn't
pricing
publish.
is just awesome. And
Did you publish your post about this yet?
No, I didn't have time to finish it, so
Okay.
I wrote most of it. But I can only right now go off of what they say on the website. I'm going to have to experience this and see what it looks like. There's a Project Fi app you get on Android. I don't know if they'll make this for the iPhone, or I don't know how this will work exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm going to look into this. But at the very least, I mean, I guess I would say it like this. I'm nervous about the phone I'm using now because I've had problems with it in the past. If it does go south, I mean, I now have a lot more options. I will also be able to switch more seamlessly between phones. And so I test a lot of phones, for reviews and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I want to put my OnePlus 6T on this thing now as my primary phone and actually use it as my primary phone instead of having a secondary number, now I can do that. And that's awesome, So I do have a second, my phone is now ringing. It's Google. No, I have a SIM. So like the Pixel 2 XL, 2 XL right now is configured with an eSIM, so I don't have a SIM in here. But I do have a SIM that is attached to this number, which is not in a phone because, why would it be? And now I can stick it in a phone and see what happens. So I might start playing with that today. That's really exciting.
This is super interesting for me.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to be a day one adopter here because it says it's in beta. But
let's see what people say about it, right?
Yeah.
And I've gone through the process of transferring my phone number over to Project Fi. I know that works well. They do a good job with that. I assume on the iPhone, which is what you're using, you would pretty much be on T-Mobile,
Yeah.
But you know how the pricing works. You know how awesome it is to take this thing international. You can tether it. You can have data SIMs. They all feed off of the one account. It's awesome.
This is interesting because it's what, $20 a line per phone? Because I'm just doing some math right now. We pay about $130 a month on Verizon for 2 phones with data.
How much data do you use?
Not like 4 gigs.
All right, you can do the math right now. It's $40, $80. It's $80.
Yeah,
I think is what I just added up, right? Yeah.
But I can put other devices on there too.
You could buy. They give them to you for free. You could get 5 data SIMs and pop them in whatever always connected PCs you have, tablets, other phones that you want to just use for data. I mean, it's awesome. I really, this whole smartphone thing I've gone through, not just this year, but last year too, has been predicated, and even though I maybe at first didn't understand that this was the issue, but I really love Project Fi or Google Fi now, and there's always been that little sticking point, and with Google putting out these unreliable devices over the past 2 years, it's been that wrench in my otherwise reasonable plan. I love the cameras in these devices, but the cameras in all the phones we just mentioned, the S9 Plus, the Note 9, the iPhone you have, the OnePlus 6 is okay, but for the most part, those are all great. And the fact that, I'll have to see what the impact is of the network switch stuff, and it will depend on you too. Like, I would imagine where you live, where anyone lives really, but what you're going to want to look at is how good is T-Mobile, because that's probably what you're really going to be on.
Which
is fine.
Yeah, this is super interesting.
$50 a month is $50 a month. I mean, that's
$600 a year.
Yeah.
I mean that is a new phone for my wife, essentially, almost.
Yeah. Well, it makes it a lot easier to swallow. I mean, if you're spending $100,000 or whatever it is, $1,000.
Hopefully not $100,000.
No, I mean I was like 100. I meant 1,000. The difference there is now $400, not $1,000 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a big change.
This will be because the other interesting thing, which I don't know if they're going to support yet, but like putting this watch on is.
Yeah. So that's not going to happen. That's going to be the sticky thing. So right now you must pay what, $10 a month?
I don't pay anything. It's not connected.
Oh, because you don't have the LTE version. Yeah. So.
Well, I do have the LTE version, but it's not connected.
It's not connected.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't.
Which doesn't look like
I don't know. That would be
yet.
amazing. It seems to me that the Apple Watch data model was done to benefit Apple's carriers. It's obviously there's not a SIM card in the thing, so you never know. I don't know. It's not really how the Apple ecosystem works. That you could save money that way, but
foiled again by my poor phone choices.
Well, I mean, this makes the iPhone more interesting to me. I can say that.
Yeah, we will.
You got to do another book, Brad, so I can afford to buy another Apple device. This is the, I mean, no pressure, but let me just throw out a couple of topic ideas that maybe.
We're just going to go to a one-man podcast here for the rest of the show, folks. It's this is available tomorrow. The book is coming out tomorrow, so yeah. And I don't know if you're waiting for some review of the book by any chance. There's going to be, I think, a couple posted about 10 a.m. tomorrow, so we'll see.
Oh,
I know.
Should I write a review? Is that like is that okay for me to do? I don't even know.
I mean, if you want, I'm not going to stop you. There's going to be a couple, though. Well, there's at least... Okay, let me put it this way. I know of at least one.
Yeah.
Todd Bishop really liked it, so he's writing it up.
Well, I really liked it too, Brad.
Which iteration? The first time you read through, the second time, or the third time?
The first iteration was a bit of a slog, but that was just because, some guy complained on the site about grammar and spelling errors in articles, right? We get this from time to time. This is the way of the world. When I first started at what was still called Windows NT Magazine, we had an army of people that would edit everything before it went anywhere, and it was a really ponderous process.
Mm-hmm.
For me to put something into one of their newsletters or the print magazine, which was the worst, it had to go through a technical edit, copy edit. It had to. Someone tested it. We had a style guide. It had a match, and it was all kinds of crap. But this is 2018, and we write and we publish, and then we move on to the next thing, and that's kind of what I've always done. I mean, SuperSite for Windows, WinInfo before that, it was kind of what I think of as guerrilla publishing. It's you want to get out there quick. That's not what this is. So, the book is a little more of it's a lot more of a process. And it's something I have been through before, so it's something I recognize. When you start going through, you're like, I know exactly how this is going to go.
Yeah, your quality just dove. Your video quality just
I can see it. I don't
tanked
know why.
For whatever reason. Well, on that happy pixelated note, you got any other thoughts for us today, Mr. Throut?
Nope. I'm going to finish up this Google Fi thing. I'm really excited about that.
Good. Me too. I'm actually... This will be tempting. The sticking point is going to be my wife, but that's always the sticking point of everything when these changes happen.
Well, why do you say that, though? Because honestly, for her, this should be seamless. You just port the number over, you have a new SIM.
Here's exactly what she'll say. She'll say, I've been with Verizon for 15 years. It's always worked, and I've never had a problem. Why should we switch?
Because it's $50 a month.
And yep.
I mean, I've been using Project Fi for a year. I have not only had a problem, I am consistently delighted by this thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have a phone activated on Fi that we pay every month. Well, actually, we don't even pay every month because we don't use it every single month.
Because you can sleep at another awesome feature of this service.
Yeah, you can just
It really is amazing. It's amazing.
It is. You're amazing.
You land somewhere. You land in France or anywhere in Europe, whatever. I've only gone to Europe, but it says, hey, welcome to wherever, whatever the country is. Mm-hmm. Your bill's not going up. Keep using the phone. It's fine. If you make phone calls, there's like 5 cents a minute or whatever it is. But as far as data and texting and, it's just the same. It's just using the phone.
Yep. So, well, with that, folks, book comes out tomorrow. Hopefully, if you've ordered it or whatever, you'll enjoy it. And if not, please don't write me. Have yourselves a wonderful Wednesday, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah.